Hey, welcome to the Strong Roots podcast. My name is Kristin Hill, and we are so excited that you're tuning in today. Our prayer is that you would move one step closer to Jesus through this series. So go ahead and check out this next episode. Welcome back to the Strong Roots podcast. I'm here with Autumn, and we are talking about friendship. This whole thing is called Squad Goals, and today we're going to be talking about how to believe the best in people. And I actually chose her because she is so good about believing the best in people, and I know I always feel it because you believe the best in me. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so first question.
Okay.
Who is the biggest cheerleader in your life?
So when I sit down and think about it, I don't think that I just have one person as the biggest cheerleader in my life. I think my parents, my husband, my sister Amber, my best friend Brittany. Then I think even ladies I go to small group with, ladies I serve in the nursery with, they're all cheerleaders in my life, encouraging me and supporting my ideas or having conversations with me about my ideas and giving me feedback to help me succeed in what I want to do. So everyone can kind of be a cheerleader.
I love that answer. Okay, so what have they done, said, or modeled that has meant the most to you?
I think that the first thing that comes to mind when I think of like what they've done for me is just listened. Like you're just hanging out in the nursery, you're serving and you're watching the children and taking care of them, and at the same time the ladies are having conversations and they're listening to you and they're listening to, you know, your morning was rough getting to church with the kids and you still made it.
Yes.
So it's like an encouragement that, you know, you can just say that and they can give you feedback and then you don't feel alone, you know.
Yes.
They struggled getting their kids ready too or something. My dad and I have lived away from each other since I was 5 years old, around 5 years old. So he's always lived in a different state, but we have one of the closest father-daughter relationships that I've seen around, you know, that I know of. People have commented on it and stuff. And that's because we get on the phone and we listen to each other. You know, he listens to what I have going on, whether it's good or bad, whether it's about him and I'm wanting to really tell him like something that happened, you know, in our last conversation, you know.
Yeah.
He listens to me. So I think just being a good listener to somebody is a really good way to show them that you are cheering for them.
And it's so rare in our day and age, I feel like, to find really good listeners.
Yeah.
Do you find that too?
People want to be that, but at the same time they're struggling with their own problems, situations that sometimes it's hard to sit and be that person for somebody.
So what makes someone a good listener?
I think the first thing for someone to be a good listener is they have to sacrifice their time. Yes. They have to take the time to sit and listen with somebody. You have to know when you need to be a listener and when it's your time to speak with somebody about what you need to speak with someone about. So just the more you do that, you know, the more you see people come to you and saying things, okay, let me listen to them and stuff. And then there is usually a point in a conversation when someone's going to be like, you know, but what about you or something? You want your feedback. And then that would be your time to really express and they could listen. And as you develop a relationship with someone, you're going to have that natural back and forth, listening, talking.
That's so good. And do you ever do this? Sometimes what I want to share, I'll ask somebody else to share instead of voicing that myself. I feel like that makes a good listener too. Like, okay, die to yourself and and ask the question you wish someone would ask you.
Yes. Yeah.
That has really served me well too, because I already know what I'm going to say. Like, I want to know what you have to say.
Exactly.
So I love that. So what kind of friend would people describe you as?
I think that my friends, like my mom, my sister, my best friend, they would say things like, I'm a role model for them. I have 4 kids, which is more than my sister and my best friend have. So they've been able to say, you know, they've learned things from watching me raise my children. And I have the older kids. They would say, I'm loyal. I'm always going to be there when someone needs me. It makes me feel good, you know, just to help people. Like, I want to be able to do that, especially, you know, as a good friend. So I guess loyal and helpful to be able to help them through, you know, whatever situation they're in.
And thanks for being vulnerable enough to share that. I know that's not easy, but I appreciate it because we need that modeled To just be able to not only share our weaknesses, but our strengths. I think it almost takes more vulnerability to share our strengths, don't you? So off of that question, I want to ask you, how have your friends and family shared the impact that you have had on their life?
I think of my sister when I think of this. We probably most often talk to each other about this type of stuff and say things of like, well, you getting through that just, really showed me that I could or something. So I really think I've impacted my sister just being older than her, not by much, but I am older and have gone through things before her, having kids, getting married, things like that. So I think that she would just would say something like, being that role model for me has helped me with some of my decisions that I've had to make and stuff, or some of the challenges that she's come through. It's just like, I seen you go through it. I seen how you handled it. So that's really helped, impact her life. And it changes mine even just by her giving me that feedback of, I'm glad that I can look up to you and see how to do this.
So it almost makes you rise up to it.
Right.
Like, oh, okay. You see me as that?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, maybe that's who I am, right?
Exactly.
So good. So what characteristics of Jesus as a friend do you most cherish?
I think I most cherish generosity. Jesus was generous, was a servant, time, everything. And I just really cherish that because it's like helping others is really what's going to make your life, meaningful, what's going to make it good. I remember being, I don't know, maybe like a teenager, and I came up with this idea that I was going to put on a business card the word spin, and underneath it was going to say serving people in need. And that's what Help the World Spin would be about. You would serve people in need, and I would just pass out these business cards or cards or whatever. Yes. And you would just random acts of kindness, you'd be so generous as to hold the door open for somebody, and then you'd give them this card. Like, I noticed that, that little generosity, like, totally makes a difference. I think that's what Jesus did. I think that the generosity is kind of where it started, and that spreads and grows, and other people want to be like that then.
Yes, and he led the way. He was generous in every way, his time. I mean, he made food. I mean, you think about it, he did it.
Right.
What an example. And I have another question. So we're talking about believe the best in people. Mm-hmm. How did Jesus model believing the best in people?
I think that Jesus modeled that by forgiving, speaking with like the woman at the well.
Yes.
And it was, not done that way. Yes. Not expected. Yes. Like, just has forgiven them, and that's what I would believe.
Yeah, I felt like he looked past all the sin and all the external. He looked straight at the heart and saw who he made them to be and spoke to that. And it's like, who does that but him? And I feel like as his people, do you feel like you're able to see the best in people more now that you're following Jesus?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Why?
And you can choose. Mm-hmm. You can choose to wake up and be positive and go out and be generous with little simple things, with big things, whatever. And it's going to affect you differently. Or you could also choose, which before following Jesus, I chose on the daily almost, to be negative, to be mad, to be hurt by others, to hold on to that, to not give forgiveness. Mm-hmm. So you can see the difference. Yeah. Jesus chose to do that stuff and look at the effect of it. I chose to do these types of things, look at the effect of it.
Ooh, that's good. You reap what you sow.
Yeah.
So good. So what are practical ways for the people who are listening for us to be cheerleaders to our friends in our life?
I think practical ways, for one, is we need to all stop with the whole typical response, mine included, of I'm too busy. Like, ooh. I'm so busy. Mm-hmm. I am so busy. 4 kids, full-time job, want to serve down here at the church as much as possible, yes. A husband, a daughter. Everybody has these labels. Everybody has these things going on. And there are times when I've realized, like, I haven't even talked to that person all week or month, and then first thing I'm texting him is like, I'm sorry I haven't texted you. I've been so busy. Like, that is like, I really have to stop doing that. Mm-hmm. We all do, because you can't be a cheerleader and you can't encourage others if you're not giving them any time. Right. So then after we stop saying that, We're going to work on that together, right?
Yes.
After we stop saying all that, everybody, then we're going to give them time, give them our time. Even if it's your time of just sending a text. Like, yeah, that was still, you sacrificed time. You sat there and you probably thought about what you wanted to say a little bit, and you text that out to me, and you had a conversation back and forth. And that just gives people encouragement, and that shows that you're being a cheerleader for them.
I love that. Time is so precious.
Yeah.
But it's so it's the most valuable thing you can give me, in my opinion, and I can give you, because we only have so much.
Yeah.
Right? So last question, okay? So has there been a time in your life where someone has chose to believe the best in you? It could be a person. It could be a moment where you felt God speak to you and just chose to believe the best in you, where that has happened, where it totally changed the trajectory of your life.
I do think so. I mean, there's been hard times between my husband and I before, and I know that there was people who believed things that I didn't believe in the beginning when it went on, that things were going to work out, things were going to be different, and their words and their encouragement, really changed the way things happen and helped the healing process, helped the learning process, to where we're best friends still.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I feel like God through us has such a bigger impact on the world and people's lives than we could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And I think this whole episode, if we would choose to believe the best in people, the way God wants us to, our impact, like those your spin cards, it would change. It keeps the world turning, right?
Exactly.
So good. Thank you so much for sharing your heart.
Thank you.
Yes, and
That's great.
Yes, it has been, and thank you guys for tuning in. We just want to challenge you this week to pray and ask God to help you believe the best in people so that this world can be changed through your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us on our other social media platforms. We don't want you to miss out on any future content. Thank you so much again, guys. I hope you have a great day. And I want you to know I am personally praying that your roots stay strong.